Sorry, Mr. McGee. Sorry about
That's all
that. We'll
right.
do that last time, I promise.
So here we are on the Keon Sports Podcast with Jacques Rougeau. You guys remember Jacques as the Mountie, also famous for the Rougeau brothers in the WWF lore, and then finally with the Quebecers. But he's on the show today really to kind of catch up with us a little bit about the Wrestling Academy. If you could tell us all about season one, because it looked like it was a pretty big hit.
It was a big hit. It was amazing this year what happened. What a great year 2022, where 42 contestants across Canada, 42 participants joined in an elimination where we had four winners at the end, win $5,000 each, and spend 3 months at the Nightmare Factory with QT Marshall, Billy Gunn, and Cody Rhodes as trainers over there, and that was amazing. We started this contest, my girlfriend and myself, a year ago. We had the idea of putting this together. I always had a passion for wrestling, as you know,
Yep.
and there was just there was a big show in Quebec, actually for music like that. It's called the Academy. Star Academy. It's called Star Academy in French, and it's like all the singers from across the province of Quebec would start being eliminated one by one, all the way to the winner would go sing at the Molson Center with Celine Dion. You know, so I had that idea. I said to myself, I said, "Wow, wouldn't that be great if we did that with wrestling?" And then, of course, we came up with the four sponsors for $5,000, and then I called up QT Marshall at the Nightmare Factory, asked him if he could go ahead and take the winners in, and so he took them for 3 months. And actually, I just stopped. I just stopped in at the Nightmare Factory coming down because I'm a snowbird now.
Yeah.
Then so finally, after 3 years of COVID, I'm coming back down south, and so I stopped at the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, where my winners were there. They were actually there was Chris Dillon, there was Matt Black, there was Jeremy Prophet, and Jessica Black. Well, and Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Black were both from Montreal. Chris Dillon was from the Maritimes, and Matt Black from Ontario. And we had 42 contestants last year that participated, and 22 were from Quebec. And so when we finished the season in August, and QT Marshall was on the giant screen, and he picked the four winners, it was absolutely pandemonium in the place. It was amazing to see the people there just waiting to see who QT was going to pick and to choose. So after the next day of the contest in August, I talked to QT Marshall, and I thanked him so much for his participation in this thing, and how much inspiration he gave to all the Canadian wrestlers. And next, the first thing he told me, he says, "Are we doing this again this year?" And I said to him, I said, "Yes, sir." So I was all inspired by that. So I started sending out some invitations again across Canada, and it's so funny because last year, out of the participants, out of the 42, there was 22 from Quebec, and there was like just 20 from Canada. And now this year we only had like 11 from Quebec, and we had something like 60 participants across from Canada. So the word got out that,
Yeah.
hey, Jacques Rougeau is giving the money for real, the $5,000. And they went to QT Marshall, and so they had videos, and they seen pictures of them training with Cody Rhodes and Billy Gunn and QT Marshall himself. So the inscriptions just came in; they kept falling in. So we got a great rafter this year of great talent who believe in this project now, and we're really looking forward. And the best thing about this, Vince, is that QT told me that he said, Jacques, he said, this year, he said, I don't only want to be in for the finals. He says, I want to be there to choose the participants too at the beginning, like I
There
did.
you go.
So when I stopped in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, actually a month and a half ago, to see the winners, he sat down right beside me, and we went over the 70 inscriptions from Canada, and we chose together. And then he said, I want to be there for the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals to choose to eliminate them, because the big deal this year is, yes, of course, the 3 months at the Nightmare Factory once again to the three winners. There's going to be three winners this year, but the biggest deal is going to be that the three winners are going to win $10,000 instead of five. So it's going to be 10 grand for the three winners, one woman and two men. So people are so excited all across Canada.
Who won season one, and what can we expect out of them?
Well, actually, that's it. Chris Dillon from the Maritimes, and then Matt Black from Ontario, and Jessica Black and Jeremy Prophet from Quebec, from Montreal. So I was happy we had two hometown winners that won, and they had such a good time at the Nightmare Factory when I stopped by to see the workouts they were doing with the three coaches. You know, I remember the Smoking Guns there, Billy and Bart Gunn. You know, I used to wrestle them when I was with my brother Raymond,
Sure.
and Cody Rhodes. I wrestled with his dad so many times, Dusty Rhodes, when in the '70s, late '70s and '80s, and I love the guy. And then QT Marshall, his school, what great teachers they are. I mean, you know, you have three teachers that are for three different eras. You have two big companies taking a look at them, which is an advantage because you have
Huge.
WWE that's looking at them with Cody Rhodes, because you know and then you got QT Marshall who's very close here with Tony Khan and them at the AEW. So if they see something they like in one of their winners of Wrestling Academy, then the door opens for them. I can't promise them any working papers, any working visa, but I could get them there for 3 months in Atlanta. So then from then on, it's for them to do the work. But everybody is just so excited. And as a matter of fact, in a week from now, the four winners of 2022 that just finished at the Nightmare Factory last week, they're going to be receiving their figurines, because there was a guy, Zashman from Australia, who loved the project so much that he has a toy company over in Australia. So he's making four figurines of the winners, you know. So
That's
for me, that
awesome.
was a big deal. That was a big deal because I couldn't, you know, I was so excited when I got my first doll.
Oh yeah. No, that's huge. That's what it's all about. I still have my Mountie action figure in my back with all my
Hey.
other action figures. You know it. No doubt about it. But I wanted to ask you this too, because this is a little off the subject of wrestling, but this jumped off the page. Now I gotta tell you, here in the States, they have the show The Masked Singer, and my wife and my daughters are addicted to this show. Now I've seen some clips and everything. I was watching what you sent me. How in the world did this come about? Now you were on the Canadian version of this. Can you kind of walk me through this?
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I'm like, he's got to get on the American version of this so my wife and daughters could see it. But yeah,
Man,
walk me through, because how
not a
cool is
bad
that?
singer, huh? Not a bad
Yeah.
singer, huh? I hope you insert a clip there on this video there,
I'll try.
that you could go ahead and try to insert that clip that I sent you. It's really awesome. It's a singing Jailhouse Rock, and
Yep.
Country Road Takes Me Home, and then Old Town Road also, and it was fun. We started, there was 20 contestants, and I made it down to 8, the last 8. So I was very happy because, you know, I'm out of my element there. I'm not a real singer, you know. I know I sing All American Boys, and I sang the song I'm the Mountie, but you know, to go on a show like that, a huge show, you know, the show was actually drawing in Quebec only 2.5 million people out of 8 million people in the whole province was watching that show. So
That's
you're talking about
45%.
less than like almost one person out of 4 was
Yeah.
watching the show from their homes. So what great exposure. And the fun part of that was like it was a hard time in my life, Vince, because I had some health issues
All
last
right.
spring, and some very serious health issues. And finally now I'm doing much better. I'm doing fine. But at the time that I was recording these songs and practicing the dancing and all that stuff, I was in the hospital. So I'd leave the hospital, I'd go do the recordings and the songs, and go back to the hospital. So it was good. It was a really big boost mentally for me, like, you know, just to be participating in that, because, you know, there's a lot of similarity with the music business and the showbiz and wrestling, you know, like entertaining and all that. So I was out of my element, but then again, yet I was close to my element. And so I had a bunch of time, just a great time doing that.
How you feeling? Because I almost felt like I jinxed you, because you were on our show in maybe early April, and then all of a sudden you got sick, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I hope I didn't put the key on sports jinx. But I was really worried. I'm not gonna lie. So how have you been feeling?
Well, you know, it was a rough time. It was, you know, I started by having, you know, everybody knows on the man's side, like, you know, if you want, the woman's pain always comes from giving birth,
Right.
but the man's pain is like kidney stones. If
Yeah.
anybody knows about kidney stones, if you could ask around, you'll see it's the most horrible pain that a man could suffer, and usually you could find stones about this big, like, you know, the end of your little finger there, and suddenly out of nowhere my system start producing calcium, which are the behind the thyroid glands. They're called parathyroids. and there's like 4 little rice pieces that go in, and they control the calcium in your body. So in other words, if your body's lacking of calcium, those little 4 rice things are going to go in your bones, and they're going to give you some calcium. But if the opposite happens, like it happened to me, my little parathyroids, they went crazy and they start producing calcium, producing. So then I end up with a stone in my bladder, which was big like a golf ball. And so it wouldn't pass by the natural places to come out, you know. So they cut me open. That was my first operation. And about 3 weeks later, I get another kidney stone. It's in the form of a carrot, and it's right in the kidney, and so big that it was making my kidney unfunction anymore.
Right.
It wasn't function anymore. So they had to put a so I had a wire coming out of the side of my ribs, and going in a bag that I had on my leg, and then I had a wire coming out of my penis because my bladder wasn't working because of the kidney stone I had there. So I had 2 bags on my legs, and then so I had those operations done, and then finally when the second one came on the side of the bladder, I mean on the kidney, they start wondering where are these stones coming from. So that's when they made me do 1,000 tests, and they found the steroids. So that's what the problem was.
Right.
So they went in and they cut me in the neck here, and they went to get they took 2 of my parathyroids out of my 4 that were producing too much. So they took 2 out, and at the same time they found cancer. So I had a lump of cancer about the size of this big, they're about an inch, and so they went and pulled that out. So after all these operations are done, it took about 3 months in the hospital, out of the hospital, in the hospital. The last day where they're going to pull out my bag, to close up, I had 1 bag taken off, and then they were going to take my other bag off. The next day, when I was at the hospital, I got a bacteria infection. So I've been in the hospital for 3 months, and now next thing you know, I'm out for the first day, and the next day I'm feeling so weird. I'm sweating. I'm not myself anymore. So I go back to the hospital to see, hey, what's going on? And they kept me 3 weeks closed between 4 doors, where they put a PICC line in my arm there. It's like a PICC line. It's like just to feed me antibiotics like every 3 hours. That means if you get one at 9 at night, they wake you up at midnight. They wake you up at 3 in the morning. They wake you up at 6 in the morning, and it continues like that for 3 weeks. And as soon as that started, they they took some pictures to see where the bacteria was, and finally they found the bacteria was right in front of my heart valve. So this bacteria looks like a little thing you put on a Christmas tree, like a little decoration there. It's
Sure.
about the length of a finger, and it's hanging there, but it's hanging right in front of where the blood's going in. So if that thing blood clot, or that piece of that thing infection bacteria goes into the heart, it goes to the tumor, goes to the brain. I paralyze, or I could be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, or I could even die out of it. So when they see that, right away they start saying to me, I've only been 3 days, and now for the 3 weeks, the time that I was there, only after the third day they tell me, Mr. Rougeau, we're gonna have to open heart surgery you, like, open all my ribs up and crack me up.
Yeah.
I was going nuts. I was going nuts. I was going insane. And then for like 2 weeks every night, I was waiting to go to Montreal at the Institute of Cardiology, where they have, it's a great hospital, one of the greatest ones in North America, that they only do hearts and hearts. So I'm waiting for 2 weeks, and falling on a severe depression, because it's been 3.5 months. I've been sick, one thing after the other, never stopping. And then finally, when they transferred in Montreal to that big hospital, I had a friend of mine, Reda Ibrahim, who was a cardiologist, a friend that's been following my wrestling career my whole life. I gave him tickets about 20 years ago with his kids to come and see me. He's now the chief in charge, and he comes in my room. So I explained to him, because I texted him, I had his personal number. I texted him, I said, can you just come and take a look at me, to see if what's going on there. They're talking about cutting me up like a lobster here, like, and just and so he came in and checked in, and he says, whoa, before we operate, let's try another thing. So he gave me, out of my PICC line that I had there, he gave me some really extra strong things, antibiotics to kill the bacteria. And with my pure luck and all my prayers, about a week later, they took another X-ray and everything, and it was gone. So
Wow.
they didn't have to open heart surgery. A good-looking body like mine, you don't want to cut it all open. And so it was rough times. It was very, very rough from the spring on there, April, May, June, July, and but now, thank God, I'm everything seems to be okay. I'm down in Florida now, and I'm working out every day and getting the pipes back up here and just working, and so it's all good now. Hopefully, it's something, Vince, that I got to tell you. Sometimes in life, they in French. I don't know if it's like that in English, but in French we have a tradition. We say at New Year's, like bonne santé. We wish good health. Like have a happy New Year and a happy health. And we take it for granted. You take your
Sure.
health for granted, and the untouchable Jacques Rougeau realized that he was touchable.
Yep.
And then so until you're hit, you always think you're untouchable. You always think the bad news is for other people. It's not for you. But I got hit bad. So now I wish people happy New Year now and a lot of health, because health is the key of everything.
I'll tell you what, too, we're glad to have you back on. And I know all of our wrestling fans, including myself, would drag me in the streets and beat the crap out of me if I didn't ask you at least one or two old school wrestling questions. So I have to monopolize your time at least for a few more minutes and throw a couple good wrestling questions at you.
For sure, but before we go any further, Vince, I
Yeah.
want to just remind everybody to go on, because my girlfriend's working very hard now on putting Wrestling Academy together again on the website. So if you want to put down there in the writing, if you have a chance here, to put wrestling-academy.ca. So everybody could go see the new contenders now, like the 34 new ones that are participants. That's so important to me, because it's the biggest competition Canada's ever put together, and believe it or not, it's my girlfriend and me that did it. So we're very proud of this. But so many hours are put in the website, and now we have all
Oh,
the
yeah.
bios we have all the bios there now, and now she's working on the video. So everybody, within the next week, you'll be able to go click on not only on the restaurant's his bio, you'll be able to see his minute video for his inscription, because they have the inscription. They have to send 30 seconds of action and 30 seconds of talking. So you get to know him a little bit before you. So go check out wrestling-academy.ca for this great tournament 2023. 3 winners of $10,000 and 3 months at the Nightmare Factory. It's going to be awesome this year.
Good job. To me, that's incredible. It gives fans a lot to be excited about.
And Vince, by the way,
easy
I don't know if you
access.
know this. I don't know if you know this, because I don't think it was part of the deal when we spoke. But did you know that QT Marshall had added this year that the winners, they went to wrestle for the first AEW show they had in Toronto, Canada, the first appearance they had. My 4 winners appeared on that show.
Yeah, well,
Dark.
I saw you mention that on Facebook. I thought that was awesome.
So what a great deal, like 8,000 people at the Coca-Cola Center. And, so what great exposure all these participants are getting from Wrestling Academy. This
And
is
you're not gonna
amazing.
know unless you try. Like for the wrestlers out there that hear this and you're aspiring, reach out. Send in, like you said, send in that tape, 30 seconds audio or 30 seconds promo, 30 seconds action. What do you have to lose? That's a minute worth of what you have to put together to send out there that could change your entire life.
You got to be
Absolutely.
Canadian. You got to be Canadian, Vince, to do this. I know you're from Cleveland, but you got to be a Canadian. But you also got to wait till 2024, because now the inscriptions are already made for 2023. So you're gonna have to wait for next year.
Start
This year's
training.
already full. This year's already full. But if you want to go see the contestants, go on wrestling-academy. You're going to see some great ladies, incredible ladies that participated this year, and great men from Vancouver to Halifax, from one end of the country, coast to coast to the other. And it's going to be awesome. So now go ahead and ask me some questions.
I got some old school wrestling stuff for you. Not much, but in the fall of 1993, the Steiner brothers were the biggest tag team in the world at that point. They were looked as being untouchable. You guys come out of nowhere. You and Pierre, you formed the Quebecers, and within, weeks of being a tag team, you guys unseat them for the tag team championships. They're pretty much never heard from again in the WWE or WWF shortly after that. How'd that all come about? Because to me, as a fan, that was a giant upset. But then you guys made it stick with almost 7-month title reign right after that.
There's something about me. Everywhere I go, I kill everybody. But it's like You know, I beat Hulk Hogan in '97 in Montreal. Never heard of him again. You know, I beat the, but it's like no, but it's funny that you say that. The Steiners were on top of the hill, but I think it's just like it's amazing how a lot of the guys they think that they're like on top of the run there and they can't be touched, like and sometimes I think their attitudes came into play where Vince had to go ahead and bring them back down to earth, and then say, hey guys, this is a business and this and that. And I think that the time was just there, like the time that they switched the title from Brett to Rowdy Piper, as the Mountie, the Intercontinental title. They just took me to use me in that position. And I think that we were just at the right place, the right time. Carl and I, we came in with some great moves. Carl Willett, a great worker, and I didn't give my place either. So we made a great team together, and we kept the titles for a year. We switched them back and forth with the 1-2-3 Kid, Marty Jannetty, and then with the Men on the Mission also. And so we had a great run. But I think the Steiners were probably at the time, I would say, a headache. A little bit of headache, or a little bit something like that Vince had to say, hey guys, we're going to switch the titles. And then after that, like you said, we didn't hear very much about them after that, and not in the tag team anyway.
No, and it was such a big deal too. And you can kind of see on my shirt, this was during the stretch of the Lex Luger versus Yokozuna Made in America thing, which you guys ended up being a gigantic part of heading into that Survivor Series. Being a part of that team. Obviously, they subbed out.
That's right.
They subbed out
We were
put
the
Crush
four.
in, the foreign fanatics. The foreign
I
fanatics
think
are
it was
famous.
Ludwig Borga. There
Yep.
was. I'm trying to think who were the other guys. There
Yourself, Crush, and Yokozuna.
That's right. That's right. I was tag team with Yokozuna. That's right.
Because they subbed out Pierre and they put in Crush last second. So I thought that was amazing. Wanted to ask you too, as we kind of wrap things up here. You mentioned 1997 when you beat Hogan cleanly, which was amazing. He was able to put you over, but later in the year, a buildup that WCW had for 18 months was Sting coming back to be the hero. They go into Starrcade of that year. It's ironic, we're coming up on the 25-year anniversary of it, and Sting, Hogan didn't put him over cleanly. What do you think went down that night? Because this was at WCW Starrcade 97, a year and a half long build, and then Hogan wanted to do a clean job for Steve Borden, Sting. Why do you think that happened? Just being around the situation.
Did he do a clean win, or he didn't?
He didn't. No,
he didn't want to do. Well, you remember the Mountie always gets his man. You know how it is. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that people got to keep in mind there. That there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes and stuff, and things that are unsaid. A lot of unsaid things in the business. And I personally think that Hulk had a lot of respect for Raymond and myself when in the WWF when we were opening his shows, and I also think that the fact of what happened with the Bulldogs, I think that Hulk respected me tremendously for sticking up for myself. Yep. And he had a lot of friends that had to face bullying with them, like the Bulldogs bullied a lot of Hulk's friends. And, so I think I was just then again at the right place at the right time. And I think that Hulk just decided to say, hey, I like this guy, excuse my expression, but he's got balls. Yeah. And I'm gonna reward him. And I don't know why. It's so funny because here I am in Florida right now, and next week I'm going to Tampa, and for the first time I'm going to be going to his bar there, to where he does karaoke, and he's got a new bar, I think, in Tampa. There, it's called, I can't remember what the name. And I'm going to go. What's it called?
Karaoke bar.
Yeah, it's in Miami, in Clearwater. It's in Clearwater. Yeah. So I'm going to be going in Clearwater next week. I'm going to go with Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart called me up. He said, hey, let me know when you're going, so we'll go together to see Hulk at his bar. So that'll be fun, because I'd already went to see Hulk in Orlando at his shop there, where he I can't remember what it's called, his shop there.
But Hulk Hogan Beach Shop.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan Beach Shop, and I went there, and he received me like a king when I came in. It was so funny, in front of everybody. What you gonna do, brother? You gonna come and beat me again? And he made the big promo. He put me over like $1 million. So I'm gonna go see him at the bar. I hope he does the same thing, but because there's a lot of French Canadians there, A lot
Oh,
of French
yeah.
Canadians come from Montreal in the winter, So, but I'm looking forward to go see him again, and hopefully get a word from him to wish good luck to everybody in Wrestling Academy, because give a little word. If you go see on my website, like I'll say it again, wrestling-academy.ca, you'll see so many wrestlers that gave me some good wishes. If you have a chance,
Yeah,
Vince, go see that
ton.
if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Brett did, Undertaker gave me some, you go on, the list goes on and on there. You'll see all the old timers that I used to work with. And so I'm trying to get in Hulk. So once I go to his bar, then I'm going to try to get Hulk in there to wish my Wrestling Academy participants good luck for 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, good luck and good health. May 2023 be a worry carefree year for you, your girlfriend there, and just everybody involved in the project. Thank you. Enjoy being down in Florida for a little bit, and after once season 2 gets up and rolling on air, let's do this again and promote it some more. Sound good?
Sounds good. I can't wait. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
See you later, Vince.